everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today I want to talk to you about the injury report for 326. A lot more guys going down. We must know these injuries, especially if you haven't drafted yet. Even if you have drafted, it's important to know what you're looking at. I do this so you guys don't have to go sifting through all the data to figure this out. I almost got my camera set up again, so I'm excited. So let's just dive right into the names. I don't like wasting your guys' time, and if you like that, hit me with the sub, and I'll keep hitting you up with content. So the big one, number one, right off the bat, is Eloy Jimenez. Unfortunately, I was actually watching this game. He went to rob a home run, and then he came up with, which initially looked like he dislocated his shoulder, and it looked like his shoulder was out of place because he was kind of running where he's holding his arm, and it's kind of like dangling there, and it kind of didn't look right. But it's actually worse news than even that, because a dislocated shoulder, I feel like, is not that bad in comparison to what actually happened, which is he tore his pectoral muscle, or at least that's the heavy speculation right now. So 5 to 6 months of being out for Eloy. If you've already drafted, that is really, really tough because he's getting taken so high in drafts this year. So what does that mean for the White Sox? Sounds like they're going to try to move Andrew Vaughn out to the outfield, which he's a big bat prospect but never played outfield, so that could be bad. My buddy actually texted me and said, hey, they should sign Puig. I think that was an interesting thought. I think he'd fit in here and could actually fit. But so if you're going into drafts, yeah, straight avoid Eloy at this point. This actually broke today, just a few minutes ago. Eduardo Rodriguez is dealing with dead arm. Now, dead arm is kind of a weird thing. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get Tommy John or have longer term issues, but it doesn't also not mean that, if that makes sense. So it's basically like my arm isn't working and I don't know why, and they think that rest will fix it, and sometimes it does actually fix it, and other times it's a much more serious problem. I feel really bad for Eduardo Rodriguez because he had the COVID last year and it really affected his body, and now he looks like he's going to go through something here. For me, it's enough to avoid in drafts or be very concerned if you already drafted him. So that broke today, and that's quite scary news for Boston. This happened yesterday. Nick Anderson, who was supposed to be the closer for Tampa Bay, has now got some kind of torn ligament in his throwing elbow. I'm assuming that this leads to Tommy John, but maybe not that ligament. But essentially, he's going to miss an extended period of time. He's going to be out for probably the season, if we're all being honest here. So not good news if you already had drafts, but if you are yet to draft, know that. Let the auto drafters take this guy. Just avoid entirely. Tampa Bay, there's a few options. I forget the name right off the top. I'll put it in the description or something. It seems like Tampa Bay's probably going to go committee at this point. With their closers. If you're in a really deep league and you think you can snag one of them, or if you don't have transaction fees, or you have a deep bench, then yeah, sure, go after one of these guys. But Nick Anderson is out, unfortunately. So Kyle Freeland also went down the other day, and it sounded like something in his shoulder. I had read one report that said that they think he'll be out for at least a month. This one says he had kind of encouraging news, and they think maybe a couple weeks. But shoulder. So here's the thing. When I read about this initially, they said that Kyle Freeland came out and it didn't look good. Like he was in obvious pain, and like he had to come out of the game after pitching, and it was like a very like, oh my goodness, my shoulder hurts kind of situation. It wasn't like a, hey, yeah, I just threw 4 innings and my shoulder feels kind of weird. No, this was like a mid-throw kind of like thing. So to me, it's more serious than I feel like they're leading on, but maybe I'm wrong here on this one, and hopefully he does recover. But if you're looking at Freeland late in drafts, it's probably best to just stay away at this point here. Alec Baum, if you're really up to date on stuff, he had a leg issue. It sounds like it's not going to affect him too much, and it was all precautionary. It's something to keep an eye on, but and obviously, like, unless you're in a deeper league, you're not taking Baum as your starting third baseman. You might take him for the upside, and if you have a deep bench kind of a thing. But yeah, so just keep it in mind. I'll keep my eye on it. If you don't see him in the next one of these, then you know that he's fine. But we'll see what happens with that. It's something I'm keeping my eye on here. Another one that's concerning, they're saying that it doesn't seem like it's going to be a setback, but George Springer has an oblique strain. They're calling it a grade 2, which is kind of like the middle one. I think grade 1 is the worst, and grade 3 is the least worst, so he's kind of right at the middle. And it sounds like, to me at least, even if you're playing with an oblique problem, it really affects your swing long term. Not long term, but like it hurts, it feels weird, you're not getting as much pop out of it, it's a slow recovery. And it's one of those things that just nags on you for a long, long time. So I don't know if he's going to start the season on the IL. It looks like that it looks like he probably will, actually, after kind of reading this over my words here, which that's not ideal. And again, even when he comes back, it's still going to be a bit lingering. So for me, it's enough for me to drop Springer down my draft board, maybe 5 outfield spots, which is quite a bit. But for me, obviously the risk is probably worth the reward in the end. But I don't like taking guys going into the season that are already hurt, especially ones that have a lingering oblique kind of issue, something that could affect him really up until the All-Star break, even through the entire season. So updates now on kind of the guys that we talked about on Tuesday. I would say that one of them nailed it, going to get Tommy John. The other one, still unknown, but we're still calling for Tommy John. The third one, which is Zach Gallen, which we called Tommy John for as well, turns out he has a fractured right forearm. So not what we thought, not what I expected. I don't think anybody expects you to go get an x-ray and see a fracture in your right forearm and not feel it when you throw all pitches. He was saying he could only feel this when he throws his curveball, kind of a thing. So that is very strange. A fractured forearm, it doesn't sound like there's realistically a timeline even right now. They don't really know. I've fractured a few fingers. They take a couple weeks, but in your forearm, I feel like that's going to have some pitching, your arm is your asset. Like, that's what makes you your paycheck. So, if I was Zach Gallen, I would not try to rush myself back knowing that my forearm was fractured, knowing that forearm and bicep lead to elbow, and elbow is not what you want. Elbow leads to shoulder. There's no Tommy John for shoulder. If your shoulder goes, you're done. So it's one of these things that I'm really concerned that they're going to try to push him back too soon, and it's going to be a bad thing for his career. No timeline yet. I'm avoiding pretty much at all costs at this point. Kirby Yates, this is the one that we did nail. He talked about his forearm was hurting, and I talked about how forearm, like I just said, tends to lead to elbow problems. Not really forearm, it's really your elbow. And there you go, Tommy John surgery, unfortunately for Toronto. That sucks. If you're in the fantasy league, last Tuesday I talked about, I'm not sure who I would pick up. I'm avoiding the situation. Not the case. I did more research. It sounds like this Jordan Romano that you see here is actually very likely to take that spot. It sounds like he's dominating. It sounds like he's primed for it. It sounds like the coaches have said that they think he's a future closer. So the future is now. So I'm pretty sure that that's the direction they're going. And I think that it's well worth picking him up in all leagues, honestly, at this point. Even if you're kind of set at relief pitching, it's an asset to have on the bench, unless you have a league that really doesn't reward relief pitching. But relief pitching goes quick, so we'll see. Marte, again, no update, which is kind of scary. March 16th, we talked about this on Tuesday, there's still no update for him. So I'm not sure what to make of this, because I feel like everybody says he's ready for opening day, but I feel like if he was ready for opening day, he probably would have played a little bit by now. So maybe they're just babying it big time, or maybe it's a serious issue. I don't know, and since I don't know, I'm still going to kind of shy away a little bit, not too much. He relies on speed, and he's got an ankle problem. I don't like that combination. And of course, we got to put Carrasco up here. If you've been living under a rock, unfortunately, he had his elbow problem, and now he's got a hamstring problem, and he's going to be out for an unknown amount of time. In fact, it says that they don't really know the timeline, even though they say 6 to 8 weeks. It's kind of at least 6 to 8 weeks. Apparently he felt it pop, so that's not good. I'm avoiding in all cases. Leclerc is the other one, don't have an update for, but we talked about him Tuesday, just really quick. He was the other one that we talked about having Tommy John. I think that's inevitable here. Just avoid, and it sounds like they're going to go to closer by committee, which is not really good for fantasy, but it's Texas, who's probably not going to win a lot of games anyway. So I'm pretty much, unlike Toronto, where I'm picking up Romero, I am not picking up anyone from the Texas squad. So that's the list, guys, for this Friday. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you guys have some drafts, and I'm hoping to get the camera set up for next time. We'll see you guys. Hit that sub button. See you next time.